Hi traders, welcome to our video series on the 7 steps to achieve consistent trading performance. Today we are on part 4 out of 7 where we're going to be looking at step 4, know your tree stats. We're going to be looking at the second out of the third stats, which is MAE. We're going to be talking about this and more in this trading video. Hi traders, thank you for joining the Master the Markets team in our video series today and supporting us in our mission to spread the truth of trading and help you achieve consistent trading performance. It's Tune Up on here, founder of Master the Markets Illiterates Conference and the Traders Open Day. So here we are traders on the step 4. We're going to be looking at the second stats over here. So what is all this MAE about and all of that? For those of you who haven't looked at the previous videos, I highly encourage you guys to look at that because the stats 1 before the stats 2 is very important, where we talked about OE, open equity, how much move is left. In this video, we're going to be looking at how does it move to get there. Okay, let's take a look at this. Right, so you got one scenario. I'll give you this picture first, then we will then go into the charts. So what we got is scenario 1, right? So we got this point of entry here that has already happened, right? So let's say we are entering here as a trader on the close of this bar. That's what we call our point of entry. Now, from the point of entry traders, you also have predetermined target as well. Let's say you have a predetermined target that you have put in here. Just for example, yeah, you don't need to do it. Just for example, so that you understand what the stats number 2 is about. Now, let's take a look at how it gets to our target. The best scenario will be what? It just goes just in a straight line, doesn't look back, right? And it just keeps running up and up and up towards your target, right? It's every trader's dream, isn't it? Just keeps going up, just doesn't look back, just like a Hussein Bolt runner on a marathon, just keeps going all the way straight without taking any rest or whatsoever. Then let's take a look at scenario 2, where it really creates a lot of fear and panic in traders. Where
If you're enjoying this video, go ahead and smash that like icon. If you haven't joined our channel yet, click on the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so that you get notifications immediately when we post up quality content like this, and especially to get our live trading updates sent directly to your phone.
now, before I take a look at the MAE concept, let me just show you this other scenario where you got the point of entry here. And then in terms of the target, it just shoots all the way. It doesn't shoot all the way this time, but it retraces back. Okay, look at this, right? So a little bit of green, a little bit of red bar that goes against you, right? And if it goes below this blue line here, then you have a little bit of unrealized loss at the moment, is it not, traders? Yeah, it will start to show on your account. And the next one that goes more further down, let's say that is about 50 points down at 10 pounds a point, you are minus 500 pounds, right? And that's where you will start to get a bit of panic, is it not, traders? Yeah. Then after that, then it turns around and then it goes flying towards your target, right? Most of us have been there. We understand this. Now, one stats that you do need to know so that you do not panic when it goes against you is not only in both the scenarios it has gone towards your target, but how does it move to get there? Does it move in a straight line, or does it move against you first before it gets there? More specifically, traders, what we are asking is how much does it go below this blue line, or how much does it go below your point of entry is what we are asking. So in this case, below the blue line, it went all the way low to here, right? So, and that is what I have put over here in terms of this red line here of MAE, maximum adverse excursion. Okay, how much did it adverse against you before going to your target? Now, if you were to take a look over here, if I go to the previous one, let me see if I can go to the previous. I think I just got to go through one by one. Not sure how. Let me see. Previous. Let me just go back to the previous one and show you what the MAE over there was. So let's do that. Over here, look, right? So in here, it went straight to your target, but how much did it go against you? It's the low, up to the low of this next bar, isn't it? After you've entered on this bar here. So this was the bar that you entered on, point of entry. But the next bar, how much did it go below you in terms of your account? Where did you see the loss, unrealized loss occur? Is towards the low of this bar where it went below the blue line. So that's the distance of the MAE. Okay, that is what is MAE. Now let's go on to the live charts now. Let's take a look at this, right? And I will show you in terms of a real chart on the S&P over here. Now, you see, for example, traders, if I were to take a look over here, let me just expand this chart over here. Yeah. And let me get rid of this vertical line here as well. So if I were to take a look at point of entry over here, right? Point of entry. And let's say the maximum point that it reached was here, right? And from here to here. But how did it get to that maximum point? How much did it go below the blue line? Is the low of this bar. Is it not, traders? Yeah. And that's where I'll be taking a look. Let me just hide the other indicator so it's a bit more clearer for you guys as well. If I were to put another line there, then that would be this red line over here. And you can see the maximum that it went against me in this bottom to top move from the point of entry here is just this up to this red line, is it not, traders? Yeah. So now if I were to analyze another one, and if I were to use the replay mode, let me just use a replay mode over here where this is a bigger move, right, that happened. So this is a bit more better for you guys to understand as well. So now let's take a look at this one. So point of entry, it's, let's say, the close of this confirmation bar where we looked at from last time as well. Remember where we talked about in a video in step 1 and step 2, getting your consistent point of entry so that the stats becomes valid. And then in terms of how much does it go below the blue line before it reaches the top, let me just keep playing that. So oops, that's 10 times, isn't it? Let me just do 3 times, maybe it's a bit better. Right, let me just go back again so that you guys can understand this a bit more better. Let me just go back to here. That's good. So how much does it go below the blue line? Let's take a look at this. So over here, so you got all the way so far, the maximum that has gone below the blue line is up to this low, is it not, traders? Yeah. So let's see how much is the maximum it goes before it reaches its maximum point. Okay. So let's take a look. And where does it confirm? There you go. So that's where it confirms. So that's my green line here. So what you do is, what we have done here is, you can lock in both the points, point of entry and the maximum point. From both of these points here, you just have to find out how much does it go below your blue line, right? Which is this red line. That's the maximum it went below your blue line, below your point of entry. In other words, that is what we call the maximum adverse excursion, right? So we measure the distance. How do we measure the distance? Very simple, right? So this number 3995 minus 3896. Okay. So it's about 100 points roughly, isn't it? If you want to get exact, it's about 104, something like that. But the good point is, traders, if I take a look at this, if I put on the settings, then if I go on to change this OE to MAE, right? And then I can do it in, it just says pips, but this one will be in points because it's S&P. And then I can change this as well. I mean, I don't need to really change it now, but usually I use less than or equal to here. And I'll come to that in a minute. But you see, over here, it will print for you. It's automatically calculating how much is the distance between this blue and red line in this move, in this bottom to top move. It says 99. Then it will calculate again for this top to bottom and so on and so forth. It will keep calculating it. So for example here, the MAE, when it turns immediately, right? So from this point of entry to to the top, this is nothing, right? But over here, it is 74 in this bottom to top move, right? It went against you so much. So it will keep collecting it like that, right, for each one of them.
For those of you who are unsure of any of the terminology or the concepts in this video, watch our free Trader Starter Pack 5-day video course as shown in Empire Cinema. It is educational, entertaining, and covers basics and advanced content with cross transferable principles for trading and investments. It pertains to both beginners and intermediate traders, all dedicated towards helping you achieve consistent performance. Go ahead and register for it on the link below.
So then what I can do, I can look at the stats table over here, and I can see over all the 13, 14 years, we only got up to 2023, on the daily time frame is what I'm taking a look at the S&P futures over here. And over here then traders, what I then do, I can start my numbers as well. So let me just start maybe at 5, increase it maybe by 5 as well. And let's see how that turns around. So we got maybe, yeah, so maybe I can do, let's see what it's doing there. Yeah, I think that's great. So 5 points. So what it's saying is 5 points. So that means going by 5.00 increments, right? Yeah. So what it's telling you here is that in collecting all those swings, those 91 swings over those many years, what this is telling you is that 40% of them will go against you 5 points before going to the top or the bottom. However, we want the 80% number, which is 60 points. So anytime I get a point of entry, right, the blue line towards my green line here, it will go below my blue line by 80% of the time by 60 points. And if you want a larger number, that is 85.90% of the time, and 100% of the time is more or less is about 90 points. Now, that is the what. Now, before I answer the question of why, now some of you are asking, True, why do we need to know all of this? Before that, I just want to tell you that the MAE can be calculated either in raw points or pips in terms of currencies or whatever. You can also calculate in ATR as well, or you can calculate it in terms of percentage too. So if I just put 0.25 ATR, you can do that and you can calculate that in percentage too. So if I do 0.25 ATR, then it will automatically convert to that. All it's telling me is that 0.785 ATI goes against me from the blue line to the red line, right? 0.75, 80% of the time, 90% of the time is about 1 ATI goes against me, and then 100% of the time goes against me 2%. Okay, but at the time the increments are not that much after 1.5, isn't it? If you observe, yeah. Now, some of you might be having this very, I'll come out of the replay mode over here. Some of you might be having this very burning question at the moment. Now, Tiru, why do I need to know this, right? Why do I need to know this? There's only two reasons why you really need to know this. One, it's basically to reduce your average loss so that eventually your profits can override the total gross loss to become a net profitable strategy. Okay. And also another thing is you know where to place your initial stop loss, because if I choose the 1.5 ATR, let's say I just choose 1.51, that means what does that mean? That means if I place my stop loss whenever I enter here and I place it 1.51 ATR from there, all that means is 98% of the time from this stats, 98% of the time I cannot get stopped out on my initial stop loss before it gets to the top or the bottom. In a bottom to top move, that's towards the top. Okay, so that's how the stats is very, very powerful, traders. Yeah, helps you in placing your initial stop loss effectively so that you do not get stopped out. Another thing, it reduces your average loss also, because if it doesn't get stopped out initial stop loss and it gets stopped out on your trailing stop loss, your natural average loss will start to reduce compared to your profit, and your profit to loss ratio will start to increase. So that's the why. Okay, so far we looked at what and we looked at why. Now the last question is how. Now how do I use it in my rule trading. Now, most of you have already figured it out by now from what I've explained. So if you go back to here, so we looked at scenario 1 and 2, understood all of that. I showed you in the real chart as well on the S&P 2. So now, why and how can we use this? So on how does it move together? How can we use this? We can use it in two ways. One is we can use it towards our initial stop loss, right? So by knowing how much it goes against us, how much it goes against the point of entry, which is below the blue line. Also, another way that you can also use it is profit taking. When the profit taking happens, so you see traders, so when it goes up in a straight fashion, now let's say your blue line where you entered was around here, right? Now, along the way, your initial stop loss will be based on how much it goes below the blue line over the stats over the large number of sample size. But along the way, still towards the top, it can still go against you, but not go below the blue line, right? And then after that, then it goes forward upwards towards your maximum point. Now, some of you might say this part you want to know as well, so that you know how to trail your stop loss. Okay, but it doesn't go below your blue line. That means it doesn't go below your break-even point. That means your account never goes to unrealized loss. Then after that point, so that's another way you can also find. That's the second type of MAE that you can find in terms of profit taking. This profit taking MAE, right? Profit taking interruption, we call it. It's an interruption towards rather than running straight all the way up. How much is that move? How much is that type of MAE? What is your TSL, trading stop loss MAE? That is another number that you can find as well. We haven't programmed that yet, but we do have a way of doing it, and I'll talking more about it in basically in video in step number 6 and 7, right? I'll talking about that. Now, in overall essence, all this MAE really does is towards reducing your average loss, and also many trades hitting your initial stop loss. You'll stop all of that, reduce that, and also increase your trades hitting your target, because it will increase most of them getting there, because now we understand how it moves. As one of my traders from US used to say, how does it dance in the way it gets there to the top? Okay, now you can always find more material about this. We talk more about this in detail in our traderstarterpack.com video series as well, the 5-part video series. You can find out more over there too. Now, some of you may be asking, okay, how can I still, let me go back to the chart, right? So if I go back to the chart again, some of you may be saying, you know what, Tiru, this is all well, good and fine, but in terms of a point of entry, and let's say even if I put my initial stop loss here, some of you might say, dude, that's quite still a lot, right? I mean, 1.5 ATR, then my reward is going to be much more higher. If I want to reduce this, traders, in fact, I'll be talking more about that in strategy construction too in later steps when we do it. But if you really are thinking about how do you reduce this, MAE and the initial stop loss placement, I one thing I would suggest is use time frame correlation. Okay, use this across different time frames, and if you enter earlier, as you have watched the previous video on open equity, to increase open equity, you use lower time frame to enter. In essence, what you're doing is enter on a dot on a lower time frame before the dot appears on the higher time frame. So if you use that, then your MAE will be much, much more smaller. Okay. We can always go through that in the next videos and the next steps. I can go through that a bit more as well. And also, if you want to ask more questions, you can always email us as well, then we can go through that with you. All right, I guess that's pretty much that on this video. What have we gone through so far? Just a quick recap. We looked at what is MAE, right? Maximum adverse excursion. How much does it go below your point of entry? We looked at how we can measure it in terms of different units as well, in terms of the raw units or pips. In terms of currencies, we looked at also in terms of ATR and percentage level as well. We also then looked on in terms of why use it? Of course, it's to reduce the average loss, okay, and also reduce the number of trades hitting your initial stop loss. Finally, how do we use it in terms of placing your stop losses, initial stop losses effectively, and also you can use it when you measure in a different way in terms of your trailing stop loss as well. And all this is towards more trades hitting your target, so that your total gross profit increases to override your total gross loss, and your net profit margin increases. Okay, that's the whole idea. I'll be talking about more about this on step 6 and 7 in strategy construction, so stay ahead for this. And on the next video, what I'm going to be talking about is number 3, stats 3 out of 3, and we're going to be talking more about that in the next video. All right, traders, I guess that's pretty much that from me on this video series in the 7 steps to achieve consistent trading performance. And all I will say is, if there's no other questions and whatsoever, you can always email us later. And as we always say, till the next time, stay disciplined, follow your trading plan, and keep trading like a master.
If you want to get notified every time we put a video up, especially on our live trading update videos, hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell notifications icon. This will get the YouTube algos to kick in and for you to join us in our mission to spread the truth of trading further, so that traders like you can benefit from our videos to trade like a master, achieve consistent performance, and change lives.